her PhD from the University of Toronto under the supervision of Marian Hatzokulu, her MSc degree from Virginia Tech, and her bachelor's degree from UT-ITE University. Thanks for coming and with us to listen to your presentation.
Thank you for your invitation. Hi everyone, I'm Rentu from Southeast University, and it's my great honor to be here back again. You have coffee now, wow, so impressive. Anyways, so today's talk will go through our most recent work on the electric buses, and we did I won't say it's a comprehensive, it's a huge survey on the data mining in a bunch of data in the city within the city, and we look into their e-bus network, and we investigate how can we optimize their operation, their scheduling, and goes into their incentives and subsidies to promote the ridership and to reduce the cost. So yeah, this is the. Not sure why it's not working. Oh, it works. So I'll just do like this. So those are the table of contents I want to introduce. First, I'll go through the policy and the current problems. This is a timeline from International Energy Association showing you the time of the proposal for the 100% ZEV cells, the electrified vehicle cells, and also the net zero target. As you may be pretty familiar with the Canada case in China, in 2020 we proposed a new target that by 2035 we will hit 100% electrified cells. And which is not shown in this figure is that by 2060 we are targeting on the carbon neutrality. And this is a timeline specifically in China to hit the vehicle electrification promise in the recent almost 20 years. So the first initiative starts from 2009, and that time we launched a pilot called 1,000 bus in 10 cities. Which means we'll launch at least 1,000 alternative fuel buses in 10 major cities. And to support such kind of policy, we have published a lot of subsidies and practices to incentivize the purchasing of new vehicles with the alternative fuels, and according to their size and battery, and also some development for the smart and the electrified public transit. So in 2020, as I mentioned here, so we have a new target saying that by 2055 we will hit at least 20% of the new sales for the electric vehicles, and by 2035 100% of electrifications will be hit in public transit, and we are almost close to this target. Starting in this year, we have a declining subsidies for the purchase of the new buses, but we have new subsidies for the trade-in program. That means we can replace the aged vehicles, aged batteries, aged chargers with a much lower cost, so that those agencies can maintain their regular operation with those electrified facilities. So from those timelines, you can find actually the public sector electrification can be a very good pilot for the overall electrification, and the lessons we learned from the public sector electrification will be a sample for the private vehicles. So those are the those are the kind of effect after those are a bunch of policies. The electrification is booming globally, especially in the Asian market. But we still got a lot of questions and the lessons from a very fast booming market, especially in the e-buses. First, I'll say we think incentives are going to beyond before the development of EVs, because those incentives enable kind of a free purchasing, because the government will fully cover the cost of the e-bus purchasing and the installation of the chargers. So that lead to the irrational installation and implementation of the e-buses, especially for the public transit agencies. But now, as I said, the subsidies are declining. You only have a discount rate for the trade-in. So those kind of over-purchasing will bring the difficulties in the maintenance and the facility upgrade. And the second problem is the experience, because we in the past few decades we only have the experience for diesel-based buses, and the optimization and also the operation, the scheduling will be totally different for the e-buses, because you have to think of their range anxiety. You have to think about their charging events, and also you have to think about the planning of the charger facilities. But those public agencies just don't have any experience, and they don't have much survey on how to optimize the operation. So that leads to a random charging event that is the first very obvious problem that will lead to a very huge increase for the grid, for the electricity grid demand. And the second one is that they just locate the station without much planning, and they think, okay, I want a reliable service and want a robust charging, so I just put the chargers as much as I can in the depot, and I'll show you later. And you will find that the usage efficiency of these chargers are pretty low. And the third one is the currently the largest challenge for us is the declining ridership, especially after the pandemic and after the drastic increase of people's income. We can't afford the private vehicles, we can't afford the ride-hailing services, and just no one will take public transit. So that's the problem we found in our case. And all of those problems brings to the difficulties in break-even and cost-benefit. Here I break down the challenges into expenses and revenue. So that's are two major questions for the break-even, right? And for the expenses, we can further split into facilities like vehicles, chargers, and services, including the routes and the schedule. And another thing is about financial model. We'll have a further discussion on that. The revenue we can split into ridership and payment. So in the study I discussed today, we will have an optimization for the vehicle allocation and the schedule optimization considering the charging events. And we will have an assessment on the chargers use and the routes and the payment. Then we have a further discussion on how to rebuild our financial model and how to incentivize our ridership. Questions so far? Okay, cool. And yeah, with those policy and background and introduction in mind, next I'll talk about the operation cost assessment. So here, keep in mind that the operational cost here, I refer to the cost that will occur in the maintenance and in the purchase of the bus agencies instead of so we will exclude the cost on the charger facilities. And here, if we break down those costs, we will have the bus charging cost, battery degradation cost, bus purchasing cost, and crew labor cost. Here, for bus charging costs, we have three major factors. First is the discharged energy, and the second is the recharging process, and the third one is charging rate. So the discharged energy can be generally obtained from the OBD or onboard diagnostics. That is usually a second phase power output records. And we can also have an aggregated data from the chargers, so that because the bus agencies can have the access to the charging records, so they will know how much energies are charged, and then infer how much energy are discharged during the trip. And for the charging rate, currently in the market we have two pricing strategies. First is uniform pricing. That means regardless of the time, you will have a constant rate regardless of time of use and the demand. And the second strategy is time of use pricing, and this is emerging in recent years, especially the time of use depending on the electricity demand. Here in our study, we focus on the uniform pricing because that's the current strategy they use in our case area.
So I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
Is the pricing strategy controlled by us or is from the hydro company?
Sorry?
Is the pricing strategies controllable by us, or it's
It's not controllable for agencies. It's controlled by the electricity grid. Yeah, so it's more the pricing strategy is more on the electricity side. And previously, because the uniform pricing is kind of like easy to implement, right? Especially for the industrial use.
But we are free to choose which kind of strategies to use, right?
No.
No.
Mm,
But because for individual household,
yeah.
we can actually choose to use a uniform pricing or the kind of use pricing.
Yeah, that depends on the land use. For the chargers, especially for the bus depot, they use industrial electricity instead of residential. So currently in China, almost all of the residential electricity use are time of use strategy. But for the industrial land, they are still like the uniform pricing. But yeah, they are trying to convert the uniform pricing to time of use, especially in Zhejiang province and China.
I see. So that research is on the side of the grid company, not us.
Yeah, we do not think of like the operation of the grid. Yeah, cool. And this is the recharging process. We split the whole process into constant current and constant voltage. In a constant current, that means if the SOC or the state of charging is less than say 80%, the increase of the SOC will be linearly related with the charging duration. And after that, after say 80%, in the constant voltage phase, the charging curve will be nonlinear. And to make our optimization with the question linearable, we just discretize those kind of nonlinear part. And this is the battery degradation cost. It's kind of complicated, but you just need to remember that the degradation cost is related to the discharge and charging cycle. And the reason for us to split the battery degradation with the bus purchasing is that actually the degrading rate for bus body and the bus battery are different. Generally speaking, for the bus body, just for the vehicle body, the usage phase will be about 10 years. But for the battery degradation, especially for the public use, the battery can be quickly faded within 6 or 7 years. So that's why we want to split these two costs. But interestingly, we did a pilot study with a three bus routes, a very small network, and we find like the battery degradation cost, the proportion of the battery degradation cost will not change with different like optimization scenarios. So we just get a simple assumption that the battery degradation can be proportional to like the unit battery degradation will be proportional to the whole time of use. So we just merge them together to have add a battery degradation cost adjustment factor to that. So we add them together as still as a bus purchasing cost. And the final two are bus purchasing cost and crew labor cost. Here we just made a very simple assumption that the daily cost will be an average value of the total cost. And then with the theoretical calculation of the cost, here is our case. And this case is in Zhejiang province in the Haining County, and the local agency comes to us to say, okay, now it is very difficult for us to support the public transit, and we want to have a better solution for the public transit to have better cost benefit. So how should we do? This is a brief introduction on the Haining County, and it is located in the Jiaxing city. So it's the Jiaxing city, and this is Haining County, and it is in the Zhejiang province, which probably the most wealthiest province in China.
Near Shanghai.
Yes. This is Shanghai, and this is Hangzhou. Hangzhou is the capital city of Zhejiang province. So this area is kind of in the middle of two major cities in China, but we may assume that it may attract a lot of residents, like young residents, but no, their population structure is pretty much aging. As you can see here, almost like 14% of the population are over 65 years old. So that also leads to a huge curve on the payment, because this elders are free of charge, right? And but that is social welfare. That is the meaning of the public transit, right? And in the Haining County, we have 12 districts. Just as a reminder, in China, the administration structure is from province to city to county to town or to district. So if the town is within the city center, we'll call it district. If it is outside of the urban area, we'll call it town. Okay, so and if you want to have a comparison of the city in Canada, I would say it's more like a regional Waterloo, because I checked the GDP and their population is pretty much the same as Haining County, but the total area of the regional Waterloo is double of this place. And currently in Haining County, there are almost 500 running buses, among which over 80% of them are electric vehicles. And those buses serve for over 100 bus routes. Most buses are running within the county or in the urban area, and some of them are functioning like the connecting bus from the county to town or urban to suburban area. And their operation, I would say, is pretty inflexible, and one bus will serve no more than three bus routes. This is the free size distribution in Haining, and those 5 buses are the most widely used in Haining, and they can range from the very commercial vans to the large buses. This is the bus depot distribution in the city. Generally, we have 5 center stations, and a special thing for the passenger center station is that because this station is pretty large, they just split it to 3 different depots. So each depot will have their own bus dispatching plan and their own chargers. And those two stations are located in the city center, and these three stations in green are serving for the suburban areas. And this is the free distribution currently for the city. And you can see most of the buses are falling into the medium to large range buses. And talking about the depot, there are sufficient amount of chargers installed in the depot, and I'm not sure if you are clear to see or not. Those numbers in white are the total number of charging plugs in each depot, and it's a huge number. And if you look into the charger use efficiencies, they will peak at the midnight after the daily operation. But even at the peak hour, the overall usage rate is less than 50%. So that will lead to a huge waste of the existing installation. Finally, looking to the car transaction records, and remember we said this place, the city center, and obviously they have the highest number of passenger boarding. And for the suburban areas, there's just a very sparse boarding for the passengers. And their total revenue is 12,000 on a typical weekday, and the currency is 1 versus 5 from the CNY to CAD. So you can have a rough estimation. But the daily cost is 10 times of the daily revenue, so that the government will cover over 90% of the total cost for the bus agency. But most of the time in China, the bus agency is affiliated with the local government. So as you can imagine, those bus agencies do not have much motivation to improve their service, because anyways their costs will be covered. But this is a huge burden for the local government. And breaking down the transaction records, you can find that temporarily the morning peak starts pretty early at 6 a.m. That is consistent with the elder age district population structure, because those elders are waking up early to go to the market for their groceries. Most of the transactions are from the free or discount part. So there's those people who can pay like us or students, they just generally do not take bus to their work to study. Okay, then with the case data, we did a resource optimization and got some takeaways from our optimization result. Actually, our optimization formulation is pretty simple. I guess most of you can understand. It's just like a simple network flow model. So basically, we extract every service trip as a node, like T1. And this is a service trip. So say line 1 will serve a trip from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. the round trip. And then those triangles are the charging trip. That means at this time period we want to charge the vehicle. And then in the charging node we further discretize their charging event to different time duration so that we can choose which time duration we want to choose. And then the whole network is a mixed integer programming. And the decision variable is that whether a bus of type K will connect node I to node J. The node can be either service trip or the charging event, so that with this kind of like a formulation, we can link the service trip, the bus service, with the charging event together. And this is our optimization formulation. We have 3 parts of cost. The degradation cost, including the vehicle and battery, and the electricity charging cost, and the bus crew labor cost. Our constraints include the network flow and time feasibility, energy feasibility, station capacity, and passenger demand. Our expected outputs include the optimal vehicle trip charging schedule, the optimal vehicle size assignment, and the minimum number of chargers required in one depot. Because this is a very huge network and very complicated, although we have already split the whole network to 7 depots, each depot still have a large number of routes to optimize. So here we do not use group B solver to solve the question. We use a heuristic algorithm, and we also check the consistency, the convergence of the heuristic is. It just says the algorithm can reach a fairly good result within a reasonable time frame, so we just use that. But yeah, future if we find a way to simplify the question, we can use the grouping as well. This is the total cost result before and after the optimization. The orange one is the labor cost, and the blue one is purchasing cost, and the green one is the charging cost. Kind of to our surprise, because based on our previous study on the very small pilot network, the purchasing cost has the highest ratio, but in such a large network, crew labor cost has the highest portion. And I think it's pretty understandable, because the crew labor cost, based on our calculations, kind of linearly increases with the expanding of the network, right? But for the purchasing cost, they have a very high initial cost, but the marginal cost will be diminishing with the expanding network. So here in the large network, crew labor cost just take a largest share. But the crew labor cost will not change a lot, because we do not target on this part. The purchasing cost and the charging cost have a very observable reduction based on our optimization. And I'll talk about the reason for the reduction of purchasing cost later. But for the charging cost, because we got the result, and we were like, because the trips are the same, presumably the charging cost will also be the same, right? Because we use the uniform cost, we use the uniform charging cost, we have the same discharged energy. But we find after our optimization, the connection between the service to the charging, like this kind of connection trip, will be shortened up by a lot. So that's why we have a much less charging cost. This is the fleet size distribution before and after the optimization. I think this figure pretty much explains why the purchasing cost will be reduced, because the type A is the smallest bus type and type E is the largest. After our optimization, we find a lot of routes can be easily served with small buses, and those buses can be much easier to maintain and much cheaper to purchase. So in total, after our optimization, we can decrease the total number of buses by almost 100. So those 100 buses can be replaced by the trading program, so that the money of the trading program can support us to buy more like type A minibuses to run the whole system. And this is the proportion of the different types of vehicles, and we find different from the current setting. We find those like bus terminals and web stations. Those two depots have the highest bus boarding demand. The buses in those dispatching from those two depots has to have higher ratio of the larger buses. But for like Chang'an Station, because this station is located in the suburban area, they just serve a very long route, but their passenger boarding demand is very minimum. So in this case, we can just use minibuses and to enable a more flexible operation and cheaper investment. This is the comparison of the ratio of the different bus fleet before and after, and same. We found the depot with the less passenger demand, regardless of their long route. A smaller vehicle can still work, and they can be much easier, cheaper to implement. And this is the it's kind of hard to distinguish. So the bar in the kind of slightly deeper blue shows you the base case, like how many chargers you need in the daytime, and the slightly lighter blue bar shows you the optimization result. Here we find because of the also the more advanced electric vehicle technologies. Currently, a lot of vehicles do not have to charge during the daytime. They can just run the survey without any charging. So in this case, furthermore, the chargers are being saved, because now they are like in the depot there are as much as like 90 chargers, and those chargers won't be used anymore. So in this case, we propose a new kind of operations that we can open those public chargers to the other public sector vehicles, like ride-hailing vehicles or like some other vehicles, so that because in the depot the charging environment is more secured, and it's safer, and the whole environment will be better than the other public chargers. So we can operate our depot like in a hybrid mode, both for the dispatching and for the charging.
So that's why for the bus terminal east and west, there's no the charging station, right?
So
after optimization.
Yeah, we do not. Based on the best case scenario, we do not need any chargers. But in the case you have to charge because there's some random thing happen, right? But
yeah, we need to be robust.
Yeah. But anyways, you don't have to have such a large number of installation. And then we have a small sensitivity analysis on how much time the vehicle should be charged to reach the optimization. And here we just use a west station as an example because this station has the highest boarding amount. And from the left to right, we tested 10 minutes, 20 minutes until 60 minutes. And to our surprise, those kind of time choices do not influence the final optimization result. They are pretty stable. So that is, and I'll say that is a pretty inspiring result, because in that case, we only have to inform the drivers when to charge instead of controlling their charging durations. Say like, okay, I want you to charge at 11 a.m., but I won't say, okay, you have to charge exactly at 20 minutes. You can charge at 10 minutes, 20 minutes as you wish, but the result won't be same. But at least I have to have a schedule on when you have to charge. And we also have a very immature and simple correlation between the influencing factors and the cost reduction. Here we find in our case, the longer mileage will lead to a higher cost reduction potential. If the vehicle serves the route with more free ride, we need more subsidies from the government to support the normal operation. But the sad story is we can reduce the cost by 15%. I think it's pretty a lot, but the government still have to pay for over 90% of the expenses, because the initial expenses is so large. And based on that, we will say, okay, at least we have 15% of reduction. We can first do the optimization. But then how to compromise this 90% of expenses, we have some proposal but haven't been installed, haven't been implemented. So first is to incentivize the ridership from the passengers who has to pay for the service. Here we propose a scheme called sustainable reward. That is kind of a gamified way to improve the PT rides. That means travelers can gain the sustainable credit, just like your credit card, and accumulate the credit and then redeem your credit for the monetary reward or non-monetary badges. And we have a semi-structured interview from the professionals and public to see how they think of our design factors. And we find generally people are willing to accept such kind of a launch, and they are willing to compete with their peers about the sustainability reward. But the thing is, they are hesitant on how the incentive method will be implemented. Like it is monetary or it is non-monetary. Everyone have different thoughts. And whether the behavior, how should we like value the behavior? How much credit is equivalent to one time of sustainable behavior? That is also debatable. So the next step, we need to have more investigations on the quantification of such kind of system. And next, we propose a new financial trading model to reshape the public transit market. So this figure shows you the current market structure from the local government to agencies to the passengers. So now those bus operating agencies are affiliated with the local government, I said before, and the local government will pay all of the remaining expenses for no reason for the local bus agencies. And those bus agencies own the bus vehicles and bus chargers. And these two parts is a huge expense, right? It's a huge investment, and for the also is a huge load for the local government, because the local government has to pay subsidies for the bus vehicles and bus chargers only based on their size and battery. Here we propose a new financial model. Here we introduce two new stakeholders here, the fleet company and the grid company. So here, for the grid company, the fleet company can own the buses, and those fleet company rent the buses to the bus agencies. And the grid company owns the chargers, and they grant the right of use for the bus agencies to use the chargers. And we also think maybe multiple bus operating agencies will be better than just one bus agency network. And those different agencies can bid for the right to operate the public transit, and the local government will subsidize according to the performance assessment of each agencies. And same for the fleet company and grid company, they will subsidize according to the charging transaction and also the trading program. Actually, this the subsidy based on the actual trading transaction, this kind of policy has been published in Suzhou City, which is another city near Shanghai. So based on that, we believe the whole motivation to improve the public transit services will be much increased, because you subsidize based on your actual performance. And then to support such kind of a operation of the performance assessment, we propose a public data platform. This data platform has already been established in another city in China, and we are proposing this to the Haiyan County. In this platform, we collect drivers, buses, agencies, chargers data, and then we aggregate those data for the analysis, so that the data center can support the accurate management, the precise subsidy, and the performance-based assessment. Okay, so that's almost ends my presentation, and as a final remark, I still want to look back to the challenges. So first, if we want to solve the break-even question, we have to solve the expenses and the revenue. And we have done a lot to reduce the operation cost here, but we still find maybe the problem is not in our operation, in our allocation, but it is more on the financial model and how to incentivize or how to improve the ridership for the public transit. So next step, we still have to have more practices to practice our financial model and to do more investigation on the ridership improvement. Okay, so that's all. As my study and as a final note, there's a couple paper for SAE to the 2024 International Conference on Smart Transportation Interdisciplinary Studies, and online or on-site are all welcome, and you will be listed in the SAE proceeding. It is also open to any papers related to smart cities, smart transport, and logistics